Hello everyone, this is Chaim Durst. Today I'd like to talk about order. When I think of myself, my identity, who am I? I'm a writer. Okay. I'm a mentor. That's fine. But if I had to identify as one thing, I would say storyteller. The reason I have been able to help so many people is because I help them tell their story in a manner that is gripping, compelling, and lasting. Leaves a lasting impression. I help them tell a story in a manner that helps them brand themselves. I help them tell a story so that they appear very vulnerable, likable, that they tell a story that shows their self-growth, their capacity for self-knowledge. More than anything else, however, I help students tell a story that is gripping. And one of the techniques that I help students employ is the use of storytelling order. You have a beginning, you have a middle, or you have an end. But do you really need them in that order? I'm going to discuss the answer to that question here. So let's talk about order. This is the order of my mind. A little bit disturbing. Where's the structure? Ah, there it is. It looks like I'm focusing a camera lens in on the internal workings of my psyche. And if you look close enough, you can see a face there, multiple faces, different sides of my identity. This is a digital image that I created. So when we think of an order of a movie or a story, oftentimes when it's a children's book, there's a simple beginning, middle, and end. But that's not really interesting. Linear ordering is comforting when you're a child, but it's often very forgettable. For that reason, most of the stories that I read now, or movies that I watch now, thrust me right into the middle of the action. If not, how can they keep the viewer or the reader's attention? And how can they hold it over the course of the length of the movie? As a writer, you only have 90 seconds to do that with the reader. One of my favorite movies is Swordfish. It begins with an explosion. We have no idea what's going on. Then it pans out. It explains what led to that crisis. And then it goes back to that explosion and provides some sort of resolution. I like that structure. It's a very effective order. Action, pan out, explanation, resolution. Now, keep in mind, life very rarely has a clear resolution. So it's perfectly fine if your essay doesn't either. You may have a fight with someone, an argument, then pan out, explain what happened with the argument. And then you may go back to talk about ways you could try to resolve this. You may not have resolved it yet. Maybe show that you're working on it. And by doing so, you show self-knowledge, vulnerability, and the capacity to grow. Rather than if it's just a clean cut, this happened, we fixed it, it's over type resolution. I'm going to give you an example from an essay, one of my favorite. A sweaty elbow connects with my jaw. I hit the ground hard and get kicked in the rib cage 3 times. An arm snakes through the tangle of legs that are firing off like overheated pistons. It yanks me to my feet. Okay, what's going on here? Security! Security! No idea what's happening. But the reader has to keep reading to find out. Very intriguing. Thinking back to that swordfish analogy, this is akin to an explosion. This was my first experience at a local punk show. Although I woke up sore and with a pounding headache the next morning, I'll forever cherish that night. For the first time in my life, I felt an incredible sense of unity and release. The combination of the intense music and bodies smashing into one another made me forget all about the restraints, my personality, the code of decorous behavior I'm expected to adhere to. Okay, now the writer's panning out, explaining what that scene was about. Now it's going to provide a more complete explanation, more philosophical explanation. Am I just inciting violence? Yes, but in a controlled environment with like-minded individuals. No one is in the pit that doesn't want to be there. If I were to ask a kid coming straight out of the pit how he feels, despite the possible bloody nose and lumps on his body, he would say, a lot better. There's something about causing destruction that heals. There's the punchline. That's the distillation of his entire essay. So, as the set comes to an end, I jump off the stage and float on a sea of energetic, open-minded, and emotionally cleansed people. And I too feel what they're feeling. Wow, English is tough. Sweat pours down everyone's faces. The brave ones are crowd surfing. Our singer screams the last chord at the top of his lungs, and then it's over. Wow. So now we go back to the action. It starts with an explosion. It pans out, provides some philosophical explanation, then goes back to the explosion. What a wonderful order for this essay. And look at all the other techniques that we've discussed. Is it mysterious? Yes. What's happening? We don't know. Does the reader have a clear idea of a brand for this individual? Yes. He's the punk rock dude. He's the elbow dude. He's the piston with the snakes dude, right? He's the crowd surfing dude. Any of those would clearly brand this individual. Or as I would brand it, destruction sometimes heals through punk rock. Something along those lines, so that it has a little bit of philosophy in there and it has a lot of the action in there. Does the writer balance description and personal philosophy? Absolutely. This is not a descriptive essay. It has elements of description at the beginning and the end, but that's it. The description leads to a purpose, and there is conflict. This doesn't have a unique point of view, but I don't think it was necessary. And the writer doesn't use the pronoun you in this, so that's fine too. You don't have to use every single technique that we've discussed. Just use the ones that seem to fit for you. You have 90 seconds to grab and hold the reader's attention. How will you do that? One of the most effective ways is to use the order of your story in a gripping and compelling manner. Think of yourself as a storyteller. Because you are. You tell yourself a story each moment in your mind. You tell it to others throughout the day. Now, when you tell this story, be prepared to mix things up a bit in order to grab the reader and hold their attention. Be prepared to thrust the reader right into the action. Then pull back and describe what's going on. Infuse your essay with some of your personal philosophy. And then, as a bookend, go right back to the action. That is a very effective structure to essays, and one that I want you to consider to use in yours. Thank you for joining me today.